Hi, my name is Charlotte Greve, and you're watching the If Ever You're Listening podcast.
Charlotte Greve makes avant-garde jazz fun and inviting. The incredibly talented saxophonist and composer has led musical groups for over a decade, from the jazz quartet, Lisbeth Quartet, to the experimental indie pop band Wood River. There's an attention to detail and an exquisite flair for the refined that runs through Charlotte's work. Through Lisbeth Quartet, she's toured the world and won countless prestigious jazz awards, including the German Jazz Award for Artist of the Year. Charlotte's music is expressive and glows with unbridled expression. Listeners witnessed this on her 2026 Guggenheim commissioned piece, Continuing, where she explored resonance in the halls of the museum through sustained notes made by a saxophone and a choir. Charlotte's music has spanned from classical to Euro jazz and even indie pop, but has mainly been through different bands and ensembles. All of that changes with her upcoming project, Water Bodies, her solo debut project out October 2nd. This monumental project and transitional moment in her career inform our conversation today. In it, we talk about Charlotte's early days, playing the flute and moving on to the saxophone. We also dive into the lessons she learned from her early days as a young band leader and critically acclaimed artist. Charlotte also shared some of the challenges that came with creating Water Bodies, as well as some of her fondest moments crafting this innovative body of work. You won't want to miss this conversation. It's one of my favorites of the year. Charlotte's a rock star. Enjoy, guys. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the If Ever You're Listening podcast. I'm your host, Stanley C., and today we have a fantastic guest, saxophonist, composer extraordinaire, Charlotte Greve. Thank you so much, Charlotte, for coming to the podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
There's a lot to cover. There's a lot of great music. For those unfamiliar with Charlotte, in the intro of this video, you would have heard more about her work. But for this interview, I want you guys to hear from her about her background and really what's coming. There's a new album coming that I'm really excited to talk to her about. Before we get into the contemporary music, Charlotte, I'd love to hear about what was your relationship with music growing up?
I started playing recorder when I was tiny, and I remember the teacher would draw a little circle on the hand that goes on the bottom.
Hmm.
That was just like, I was like, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, great. And then I went to classical flute at the age of 9, did that for 10 years. And while I was doing that, I started improvising on the flute a lot with my brother, who played guitar at the time. And we would make these tapes. And he was coming more from like a singer songwritery corner and made me improvise, essentially. Just play what you hear, And um, that helped me later on when I started in jazz bands at the music school and at my high school, to start improvising and to get into jazz. So those were the first steps. And I didn't start playing saxophone until I was like 16. And the main reason was that it was louder than the flute. Very pragmatic choice. And all the like synth and singing and composing came way later, but that was kind of the start of it.
Got it. Okay. Let's sit with this period when you transition from the flute to the saxophone, because I feel like that's very testament to what becomes your career. You become known as a great saxophonist and jazz composer, but also member of several bands. Was it difficult in the beginning to transition to jazz? I mean, to saxophone, what was that transition like for you?
It was really fast because a lot of the fingerings are the same or very similar, so it's very related. The embouchure is different, but very fast I was able to play stuff, you
Mhm.
know, and just kind of like find my way through the notes. And that was great and a big motivation. And my teacher at the time also was very encouraging, was like, oh, you're not going to play the beginner songs, and that's great. As a teenager, I was like, okay, and so we're diving into um, jazz standards in the first lesson, essentially. And I was surrounded by a lot of um, peers that were playing jazz at the time in a small town in northern Germany. It is what it is. But um, a lot of uh, musicians were coming from Hamburg, a bigger city nearby, and they're really encouraging.
Mhm.
And I went to lots of jazz workshops and stuff, and um, yeah, so it went pretty smoothly from flute to saxophone.
Fantastic. When you are transitioning from school to making your own original music, and correct me on the timeline if I have this wrong, but at what point do you transition from being a student to then taking it upon yourself to kind of being a part of groups and performing music, whether that's cover music or original music, kind of in those early stages?
Super early stages, I was already writing songs. I had a duo with a vibraphone player from a nearby town. He also lives in New York now, which is funny. And we started bands early, you know. I was like 14, 15. We're trying to write our own songs. Very simple, just like melodies and chords and improvising. And eventually went to jazz school, made my own band, my first own quartet when I was 19 years old or something. Yeah, so it was kind of like an ongoing process.
For your first quartet, is this the Lisbeth Quartet?
Yes.
Okay, so let's this is a great band if you guys are unfamiliar with this group. I was listening to you guys a lot recently. There's a lot of albums and you toured a lot with this band and you guys won a lot of awards. What do you take from that experience? Not that it's like stuck in the past. It's still, I'm sure part of it is still part of your present, but what was kind of the lessons from that period, especially touring around the world? And getting a lot of acclaim. It seemed to happen when you were quite young in
Yeah,
the genre.
it happened early, that's true. Like the first record came out, yeah, very early.
Yeah.
I think like 2009, and the band is still going. We're taking a little bit of a break right now, but
Hmm.
we're because of other reasons, but we're still a band
Yeah.
after, I don't know, 15 years or something.
Nice.
And it was super important for me because the quartet helped me find what I wanted to do with the saxophone in terms of um, sound and expression on the instrument, and um, making it a band, you know, it's just spending lots of time together and cultivating um, a band that has is exactly these four people in it.
Mm.
Um, it was, yeah, it was really helpful to kind of find myself and to find confidence in my own playing and in my own writing, and kind of learning from the others too, making this music, which is essentially like contemporary instrumental jazz. Um, my American friends would say Euro jazz. My friend Tommy Graham was like, "That's Euro jazz," and it is. I mean, it's very Euro, or like
Yeah.
highly Euro. Um, but yeah, lots of like open, uh, improvisatory like shapes.
Yeah.
Trying to figure that out, and navigating the whole thing of like being a band leader was started for me very early, and it it was helpful throughout my whole career up until now, and it continues to be because the bass player was a little bit older, and he was like, "Oh, if you want me to be in your band, I'm down, but this is what I need when we go out of town." And I was 19, you know, I was like, "Okay, I will find the money, I will find the resources," and it taught me many lessons.
That's awesome. That's really cool. So developing that leadership skill, which is going to be relevant later too, when you start composing and doing different compositions for different ensembles, and people are bringing you to like museums to do pieces. I feel like that experience with Elizabeth was crucial to that time. Um, a cool thing happened at one point in your career, later, I should say, later in your career when you come to New York, and you know you're taking classes at NYU and for a master's, and there's another group that comes. There's just you're a part of several groups over time, but um, fix the timeline for me if I get it incorrectly, but Wood River, which I think is my favorite Charlotte Greve group, just like the music is, I'll let you explain how the music is, but it's even more, I think, extraordinary in how you're fusing jazz with like indie and rock, and I've never heard anything like it. What was that experience like for you, that transition to the States and then forming a different type of band? What motivated you to make the band, to make the music with Wood River? What was that experience like?
It basically came out of trying to compose a piece for my first quartet, Lisbeth, and realizing that it's not for acoustic
Mm,
jazz quartet because it had like sustained open chords that were supposed to just like go like, you
mm,
know.
yeah.
And we're even trying it in the rehearsal, and it was like, it's not for an acoustic piano, you know. It's for a synthesizer or a guitar that can just go like that, you know, and can
Yeah.
stay and be like a sustained and affected sort of um, what is it called? Doesn't matter, like sound.
Yeah.
And and then I just met new people in New York here and started this band at the time together with the guitar player Keisuke Matsuno, and later on he kind of like took a leaf from the leading part and I just led it myself. I did everything. But yeah, it was important. I was just realizing I have a different aesthetic that I wanted to follow that actually had been part of my earlier childhood. I listened to a lot of metal and rock music with my brother again.
Yeah.
And our whole crew that we had together, or kind of his crew that I was like latching onto, was very like rock and metal
Mm,
oriented. And so it felt very like a very near thing to me, you know, like very, oh, I grew up with these sounds and that kind of like loud electronic sound. Um, yeah. And then I kind of followed that need to fill that part of my music needs and bought some pedals and eventually started singing and bought a synthesizer and you know and then that became like the other sonic side of my stuff.
That you already got me on my next question, which was about you singing your voice, being a part of now the music, because that's relevant, especially with the new album, Water Bodies. But before we get to Water Bodies, did you always know you could sing? Kind of was singing something that you did maybe outside of Lisbeth that you always knew you could do, but it wasn't necessarily something you wanted to bring to that group? Or was it kind of just happenstance that it became relevant for Wood River later and other groups?
I always was really into like songwriter music, singer songwriter. I listened to a lot of Joni Mitchell growing up. um, and you know singing again with my brother and the guitar and there's a fire blah blah blah. We grew up in the countryside, you know. It was always like, oh, we're singing, you know. And my
Hmm.
parents were singing in choirs. I never sang in a choir, but I was exposed to it and I liked doing it like in my private life, quote unquote, but I never dared to do it on stage. And I never wanted to bring it into the Lisbeth Quartet sound. That was not something that I was hearing, but um, I had fun singing, and I kind of had to break through a big wall of like, I don't know if I can do it, you know. I shouldn't do it on stage. It's not my thing. I'm a saxophone player, you know, like trying to navigate that whole thing of like, I can't just sing, you know. It's weird because it's very like exposing.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I just started hearing it as a layer in the songs that I was essentially writing for Wood River, but they were all instrumental. But I was like, no, but I'm hearing like a just a held note with a voice. So the early songs were just me going like blah blah,
Hmm.
which was actually really hard because it's way easier to sing a note with a word, which I understood later. If you just want to hold a pitch, it's like it's gonna go down.
Yeah.
Eventually. Anyway, it was a really slow, long process from there to where I'm now.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I added onto it one step at a time.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, I'm glad we now get to hear your voice and feel your presence more. You for the fans and for the music listeners, you do feel Charlotte's presence in all the bands. Just if you love saxophone, you're hearing her, but it's cool to hear your voice now in a lot of the music. Um, Next section, I want to talk about compositions and composing music. This is relevant in a lot of your work. But talk to me about kind of how did you develop the skill to compose music? Maybe both for the quartets, but also just our ensembles and groups. Did that take time, or was that something you honed in school when you were studying music, and you were just applying it, or did it happen you learned from kind of doing over time?
The very beginning was very much like I was going to try to put something on the page. Oh, here's a melody, here's a chord, embedded piano, but like this is what it is. And
Hmm.
then I had real composition lessons for the first time when I did my undergrad in Berlin. I studied with John Hollenbeck, who is a super like figured out methodical teacher and composer, and he was coming up with all these methods and ideas on how to approach music, and especially he always talked about, well, when the honeymoon phase is over, where you just can't, oh, I'm inspired, look at my song, that stops at some point. Here's my piece. It just came to me.
Yeah.
And he had all these methods that I was learning from him on how to get your composition off the ground, essentially. Like how to start, like make lists of beginnings, middle, ending. How can I do it differently? So it was very methodical, and that helped me at a time. And I wrote a little bit more like figured out music, like, okay, now I'm going to do this. It was a little bit more mathematical or something.
Hmm.
So he was my first composition teacher. And I think then nobody for a long time. And I kept writing for Elizabeth and then eventually for Wood River with what I knew, what I had, but kind of figuring it out. Um, and then the bigger piece that was like more like me as a composer type thing was Sediments We Move, which is a piece for Wood River and a big choir.
Hmm.
And that I did very much like DIY. I'm writing what I'm hearing. And I had never sung in a choir to this day. I really just like the sound. And again, with also myself singing, just like connecting to the quality of the voice and many voices together and unisons and counterpoint lines. I just wanted to write something for choir. So essentially, I emailed that choir Cantus Domus in Berlin, hey, can I write for you? Thanks. Let me know. And then I looked up ranges, like, and asked the conductor, what are the ranges? I put the ranges in a little piece of paper on the piano, and then I started writing. But that was very much like, I'm hearing this. Let's see.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. Okay. And that just goes back to your just ingenuity as an artist, which I do want to touch on maybe later. It's like because you are an unconventional artist in terms of how you're seeing sound, kind of fusion. A lot of when people write about you, they're like, we don't know what her genre is, which is like a good thing because it's really, I think of it as like you're the genre. Charlotte Greve is the genre, and what you make is what your is your sound. Um, and this composition allowed open doors for you working with different groups because then you get commissioned to do pieces at different places. One that I wanted to talk about was the Guggenheim piece, which looked really cool from what I could see. The people are like all throughout the museum watching you. I'm
Yeah.
like, how that's so cool how that was set up. But talk to me about how that was kind of done and how did you feel about your performance there and what was the reception? What did you hear from listeners there?
Yeah, it was really special. This first vocal ensemble chorus. I worked with them. They did my piece Sediments once for the release show a few years ago. And we kind of stayed in touch and did a few concerts together, different material and stuff. And they always wanted to commission me, but it was kind of like soon, you know. And then they had this opportunity to do a concert at the Guggenheim, and basically in January told me, "Do you want to have a commission now? But it has to be ready by March." Mm. And also in January, I was touring and traveling, and it was very like time crunchy. Um, but of course, I wanted to do it because such a special room, and the whole thing was just a special thing. And so I ended up writing the piece, um, and yeah, it was the opposite of low key, I would say. It was very high key to me, the whole scenario. Like
Yeah.
Carnegie Hall was presenting it, and the Guggenheim, da da da, and the other composers that they were singing materials from were like all these amazing people that I love. Music by Avo Paired, also Shara Nova of My Brightest Diamond, like, and it was just a special thing to be able to be included in that as a composer and also as a saxophone player. And it went really well, honestly. It was uh, it was challenging because my piece was kind of the only piece in the program that had some tempo, and the
Mhm.
reverb is insane.
Yeah.
So the first rehearsal, I was like a quarter note behind,
Yeah. Go
or the
back
choir was, and it was like one, what, it
up.
was just going like this. But in the performance, it went really well, and I got a lot of good feedback, and it was a special and very New York moment, I should say.
Mhm.
I was like, I am in a series. This is very
That's,
chic. I'm
yeah,
going to a rehearsal at the Guggenheim.
that's
You know,
very New York. That's very
um,
you're a New
yeah,
Yorker now.
it was special and a great experience.
Amazing. Well, looking forward to hearing about many more pieces similar to that at other museums in New York. I'm sure they will be calling you now that that was a success. Speaking of success, and future success, we have a great album to talk about coming up. When this video is released, the album will still not be out, so I'll be careful on what I say about it without giving away too much. But Charlotte was gracious enough to allow me to hear it, and it's an extraordinary body of work. It's also important career-wise because this is your first technical solo debut album. Um, Although you have had albums under your name, but they were kind of like collabs with choirs, I believe, or with groups. But this is Charlotte Greve album, which is awesome. So talk to me about why did you decide at this point to make a solo album, and a little bit about the album making process. How long did it take to make this album?
Yeah, basically, I I have done had done, I think, 6 records with Lisbeth. Sieben, acht, neun. Yeah, two with Wood River,
Hmm.
and then the choir record.
Yeah.
So basically, 8 band records and one project or whatever.
Hmm.
And I was like, okay, it's time to make a new record because it had been a couple of years. What do I want to do? Also, it's basically the 10th release. And what am I interested in right now? You know, or what's happening? What's next? And yeah, I was kind of at a crossroads, like, oh, I could do another Lisbeth record or whatever. Or, well, I don't know. Um, and I realized I'm quite equally interested in a lot of different sounds. And in the past, let's say 3 to 5 years, I've worked with just different groups, composing for them or playing in them, like playing with the Chris Morrissey band for a long time, which is very like songs. Um, Working with vocal ensembles like Choricus or Lorelei Ensemble, which is an all-female um, vocal ensemble, which is very, very classical. Um, And I was like, I'm interested in all of it. And to me, it's all not the same, but it's all interconnected and it's all my voice.
Mm.
But I think from the stuff that I had put out before, there was a little bit of like, oh, she's a choir composer now. When the choir record came out, the Times was like best classical track, and I was like, that's great. It's also a little bit hilarious to me, it's like I'm not a classical composer, but hey, I take it. It works, and it got me work, and that's wonderful. But to be listed with like Debussy and Bach, that was just like, okay, sure,
Yeah.
because there's a choir. And then it's like, oh, she's the one with the choir stuff. But then I was like, yeah, but I'm also actually a saxophone player. And
Hmm.
I also really like songs, actually. So I was a little bit in a um, like identity, like, who am I? And I feel like sometimes nobody really knows, or depending who I'm hanging out with, it's like, oh, she's the one that plays with Chris, but no, but she's the composer.
Yeah.
So I just had this feeling like I want to let myself and everybody know that it's all the same. And I want to make a record that represents that. And maybe it'll make sense to people, and maybe everybody's going to be like, this is a collection of songs, this is not a record,
Mm.
But to me, it is the same. Even if one piece is like with an orchestra and the other one is a jazz band or a solo piece, saxophone or whatever. So I started just writing about it, um, and collecting pieces that are representing what I'm interested in right now or recently. And slowly this record started happening. Um, yeah, and then I thought, yeah, I'll do it soon. That's the next thing I'm going to do, whatever. And then I got pregnant in early 2024, and I told my friend, I'm pregnant. Anyway, I kind of want to do this record at some point. And she's like, you can't do it at some point. You're doing it now. Because the baby's coming in October. And I told her, I think in March or something, or April. She's like, you're calling the people now. You think about the people that you want on this record, and you go home now and you figure this shit out. I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
no, but I have time. I can do it. And she's like, you can't. And she was so very right about it. Because you never know. Like, I have a very chill kid, but the time is limited.
Yes.
And so that day I went home, I was like, let's make a list of folks that I want to include on this to represent the different shapes and forms. And I booked the first studio days that same day.
Wow.
It was my friend Marta Sanchez, amazing piano player and composer. And yeah, that was 2024, like April or something. And then I, March, April. And then I just, for the next few months, booked the bands and the studios and the ensembles. I had figured out all the songs, who plays what. I picked Shazadi Smiley as a producer because I thought I need somebody to help me keep it together as one cohesive thing. And he is so good with the overview and the philosophy behind things. And I feel like I have done so many records that I really know, no, I want this, I don't want this. But I needed a spirit helper to keep it this thing. And he was perfect for that. And he basically was guiding me through the process. Um, yeah, and he produced the whole thing. And basically, it was recorded between, I want to say, late April and, yeah, late summer of 2024.
Right before you were due.
Yeah. And then I had
Wow.
my baby in late October. But basically, everything was recorded by then.
I got it. Got it.
All the overdubs, everything was done. And then after that, I just had to edit it and mix,
Extraordinary.
mix it, obviously. Like I mixed it in 2025.
Got it.
Um, in March of 2025, I think. And yeah, and then I sent it out to labels, and now it's coming out.
Hell yeah. Was this album compared to others? more difficult or easier because you kind of had less constraints musically? It was kind of whatever you wanted to make. Or did you find it actually more challenging because you could go in so many different directions now because it's up to you what you want to make in terms of its genre, its sound, its tempo, its style?
It was very, first of all, it was honestly very fun to make it. It was very playgroundy. Like, I
Mm,
want to do this now. I want to do this. I'm going to go here. No, this is going to be this other thing, but it's really that, you know? So it was very playful in that way. And most of the other records were kind of like go to the studio for X amount of days. Most for all the jazz record, it was like 2 days done, you know. Um, and for the Wood River, it was maybe 3 days, you know. It wasn't much. And for the choir recording, it was 2 or 3 days band, and then a year later we recorded the choir. So it was also very weird.
mm,
Um, but this was like, oh, here, the studio between New York and Berlin, like different ensembles. Then I recorded this orchestra remotely in Bratislava, Slovakia.
wow.
So I was like on my computer in Brooklyn, and they were there, and we were basically on like a music Zoom,
Yep.
completely nerve-wracking, um, because it was like 4 hours for these two pieces, and they would record in small chunks. Anyway, it was crazy.
Wow.
Um, but what was helpful is I had a very easy pregnancy, and sometimes I don't know if it happens for every woman, but there is this hormone that makes you very chill and
Mm,
very like, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. Like, yes, I'm feeling good. This is good. This is a good idea, you know. And it was helping me in the studio, and I had like a laser focus in the studio.
mm,
Some of like a lot of the vocal takes that I did together with Charlotte Jacobs, we do a lot of unison singing, are actually everything that she's on is live. We did live in the studio with the band. And Shazat was like, we have to keep these vocals because they're so like special because they're live in the moment with a band and you guys sound so melted together. We're not gonna do a vocal extra day, which normally is like the thing to do. Um, and there were some parts where I kept the vocal, but I also played synth at the same time, and we kept it
mm,
because somehow I was not stressed. I was very not stressed. I was super focused, and that was, I think, it was related to the pregnancy in some way because it makes you put everything into perspective a little bit.
yeah.
And I was just in the zone.
Mm, so
Um,
cool.
and otherwise, it was just like crazy expensive, and that was hard. But I was like, I decided that I'm going to do it, so I'm going to do it.
That's
And
what I was wondering because you said you were adding more days than you usually do. I'm like, that's more studio time. You're paying musicians.
ridiculous. It was completely ridiculous. Like also like right before having a baby, that spent the savings, you know. But whatever, I decided it, and it had to happen, and so it did. And now and then coming out of the first time being a parent and stuff, it was really nice to have something creative to go to. We
Mm,
did some more overdubs when my daughter was already born, and it felt like a very like beautiful creative safe haven to have this record basically in the can, but like refining it and going to mix. It was like, oh, I could like reconnect very directly to the to my life as a musician, you know, after becoming a mom.
extraordinary, extraordinary. No, this is a great record for the listener. You're in for a trip. Whether you're a Wood River fan or whether you're Elizabeth or the other groups that Charlotte's a part of, the choir work. I love how the album starts. I love the well. It's jazzy. It's so smooth, like the sax starting us out. Then like you go into wave, and that's completely different. It's like indie. There's rhythm. I wrote reminds me of Fiona Apple. Like it has its own
Oh,
style to it. A few other favorites of mine is 22 because of the way it builds. It has this awesome build. Then it just explodes. I'm like oozing out. There's this jazzy. And then my fourth favorite is Swim.
Okay.
Swim is like a very smooth, like I call it my favorite slow burn on the album. But there's a lot to love. There's even more cool, but I don't want to give everything away. For you though, two questions. What was the funnest song to record? And then what was the hardest song? What took the longest maybe to finish out?
Let me see. It's really hard because it was such different moments,
Yeah.
you know. Um, it's really hard to say. The hardest, mm, maybe almost honestly, almost the hardest was the solo saxophone piece because we recorded the voices after, and we
Hmm.
recorded the saxophone at Figure Eight in Brooklyn and the voices in Soho in a big church. But there was a subway going below the church, and so it was really hard to record. And in hindsight, it would have been better to do it together, but I didn't have the idea with the choir until later. I was like, let's add the voices, you know. So that was actually really hard to, in terms of timing and everything, to get it together. And what was really fun, I guess yeah, the the first single was really fun to record,
Yeah.
Membranes, because we had figured out the drum machine, and that was the very first thing we recorded, which is funny that it ended up being the single
Ooh.
with Joshua Crumbly and Buzz Donald and Shazad engineering and producing. And I just remember the feeling, that kind of what I was talking about earlier. I was like, yeah, it's fine. We're just doing it, and let's start this thing, you know.
Mm.
In the moment, I also didn't quite grasp that it's going to be a very epic, long journey of like, oh my God, I hired an orchestra. What did I do? You know. But there, I was just very excited and very relaxed and excited about the sounds and the Juno and the drum machine and enjoying how it felt in the body.
So fun. So fun. This album will be out in the fall. Remind me the specific release date. I don't want to get that right.
October 2nd.
October 2nd. Let's go. Okay. My birthday is October 10th, so this is like a cool.
Oh, nice.
I'll be playing that a lot on my birthday. I have, if ever you're listening, questions. So this concludes my specific to Charlotte questions. We're gonna dive a little bit more back into water bodies with these four more fun questions, because it's relevant to us, some of the questions. But thank you so much, Charlotte. Um, and oh, the one thing I wanted to add about water bodies for people excited to listen to it, even though there's so many different genres in it, it's all still Charlotte. And I did catch through lines in terms of like sonic through lines. Some like general thoughts I had was, and these aren't musical terms, these are just like feeling terms that I found that I thought was cool. I was like expansive, expressive, and elegant. So there was like these three E's that I found that even when she was going with like a saxophone solo and then there was a beat machine two songs later, it was still very elegant and it still sounded similar. It didn't sound like a completely different album, but it sounds like that was intentional with the help of the gentleman you mentioned that helped you produce the album, and find that sound. But was, I guess, with that statement question, was that difficult? Or did that take a lot of editing to make it sonically sound cohesive, or was the songs already pretty much in the same sonic space and it wasn't hard about transitioning?
Um, I was worried about that, and honestly, the rough versions of the songs were really rough and
Mm,
hard to listen to. I was like, "Oops, what did I do?" You know, because the studios were so different and a million different engineers, and it was honestly not until the very first round of mixes that I was like crying. I was like, "This is it," and I am forever grateful to my mixing engineer, Seth Manchester. He works out of Rhode Island, Machines with Magnets. Uh, he understand. He did a bunch of my other records. He did the choir record too,
nice.
and he understands my sonic world, and
Mm,
he made it be one thing. And before that, I was kind of like, I don't know about this. But then when he did the first mix, I was like, here we go. This
Mm,
is the same Sonic World now. And he said it wasn't too hard. There were a couple of things that were hard, but in general, it was not too hard.
so cool. So cool. October 2nd, you guys heard it. Water bodies, get it, buy it, stream it. Buy if this is the question. Are there will there be physicals?
Yes,
Um,
we'll do vinyl.
oh, if get the vinyl, I'll be getting the vinyl immediately. Awesome. Okay, very, very fun. Um, the If Ever You're Listening questions. We are on the If Ever You're Listening podcast, so we have to know, what is Charlotte Greve listening to? What is on your playlist these days in the summer of 2026?
Summer 2026. So right now, it's a lot of what my daughter dictates what we have to listen to, especially in the car.
Hmm.
And she recently got really into yacht rock. So I
Ooh.
have to listen to the song Sailing several times a day by Christopher Cross. And also Wichita Lineman. Um, those are two songs that just have to listen to all the time. Um, Otherwise, what have I been listening to? It's a good question.
Yeah.
I listened a bunch to the new Cecile McLaurin-Salvant album.
Hmm.
That actually, I listened to it. I was like, she's having fun. She's doing whatever she wants.
Yeah.
She's having so much fun. It's called Oh Snap. I guess she has a new one out already, but that one, I guess it's two records ago.
Cool.
Um, I found it so great and kind of reassuring that she goes, this song is going to be a folk song, and the next song is going to be an up-tempo swing song,
Oh yeah.
and the next one is going to be a synth party song,
I
you
gotta
know?
hear this
And
album.
I'm just like, I mean, she's also Cecile, so anyhow, she can do whatever she wants, and it's going to be great. But anyway, I had a lot of fun listening to the record.
So fun. So cool. Next question is about underratedness in music. Kind of, what do you see as a musician? What's some of the most undervalued maybe parts of being a musician that fans or even non-musicians kind of don't understand about your work, the craft, your career?
In terms of stuff that is good and nice or bad and hard.
Ooh, that's a good follow-up question. Usually the person responds bad. Um, No, no, I shouldn't say that. For example, a lot of fans or non-musicians don't realize all that goes into maybe conceptualizing a song. They may want the next album 6 months later after you just dropped an album, but it takes a long time to both come up with the music and then um, to make the music. As that's why I was so glad you broke down kind of it. It took you months to write the songs and then a year of editing the music. I think a lot of fans don't realize that. Um, but what else maybe that you see that fans or non-musicians in the industry kind of undervalue or don't fully understand all that goes into doing?
I think it's the multitasking, first of all, that we have more like five jobs and not one.
Yeah.
Like practicing and composing are already two different things, but that's kind of like, okay, the music side,
Hmm.
that is like beautiful. But then there's other stuff like organizing the band, paying the band, finding the funds, booking and I'm speaking for myself. A lot of people have like booking agents, managers, whatever. But like right now for myself, it's like managing, wearing many different hats. So I'm like the composer, the practicer, so the performer, the lyricist, if you will.
Yeah.
Then I'm the booking agent. I am finding the money to pay everybody and everything. Um, I'm tour managing. You know, like it's a lot of different hats,
A lot.
and and so that's one thing, I guess.
Yeah. That's a great
Uh,
answer. That's a really good answer. Sorry, keep going.
and the other thing is, if you're a band leader, and if you're out there like, this is my music, this has my name or my project name, but whatever, let's say in this case, okay, my name, this is here, this is me, it's very vulnerable, and it's not more or less, but it's just different than playing in someone's band and being a side person, which
Mhm.
is a whole skill in itself. And I'm so happy that I've been doing more of that as well.
Yes.
After band leading for a million years and not doing a ton of side work, just to go to the gig, show up and play the song and then eat and
Mm.
go to sleep, you know. Um, but to put yourself out there and like really show this is me, this is me, this is me, like it's so vulnerable, and um, it's important to keep that in mind. And releasing music is really exciting and fun, but it's also really terrifying.
Oh, yeah. It's like going into your like swimsuit and then jumping out into like the public. Like you're just you're showing so much of yourself. It's I give you guys a lot of credit for doing that, and it's not easy. Most people don't have to do that. So it's cheers to you guys to do that because a lot of us find ourselves in your music when you do that. So it's this sacrificial thing, which it's extraordinary that you guys do. Um, my next question, and it's very human, which is a good transition to my next question, which is about AI, which is very unhuman. But from your perspective, this is a newer question I've been adding recently. It's about how do you see it, AI in the music industry, through your experience as a musician and an instrumentalist and a composer and a songwriter. Do you see AI as a tool? Do you see it as a collaborator? Do you see it as competition? Um, a fourth option, do you see it as a it's not important, it shouldn't be kind of talked about or considered. What's your take on AI in its current phase in the music industry?
Right now, I think certain kinds of music might be um, replaced with AI. Maybe it could go there if it could, like not right now.
Yeah.
Right now, it's not good enough at all. But I could see just because the pace is so fast that maybe certain parts and kinds of music can be replaced, which I don't think is a good thing.
Yeah.
Um, uh, but I haven't really heard anything that I'm like, oh my God, we're very close.
Yeah.
It's just like that it's moving so fast that it's a little bit like, what's going to happen? But I don't use it personally at all for music related things. I have no interest in that. Um, but I think, and I was thinking that the other day, I was watching a live video of a band of this guitar player and singer Gary Wright. Again, a song that my daughter is really into, from the 70s. I was like, live music is untouchable,
Hell
you
yeah.
know? And that is really great. That's really great news. I wish live music was supported more financially. I
Yeah.
feel like the clubs, everything is like, we don't have money.
Yeah.
Um, but live music is really safe from AI because it's such a direct and human experience to be in a room together. And it's really, I'm excited about my record, but I'm also excited to, okay, how can I make a record like this present on stage live with a band or also solo?
Yeah.
I'll be doing both. And it's just so much more direct.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I am curious about how you're going to tour this album. That was going to be my
I am.
follow-up question. Okay. Yeah, I was like, what are you thinking? I was going to ask if it was a group, a band, but then I said, well, how would the band work? Because is it a choir? Is it a quartet? Are you
Yeah.
okay? So you're still figuring out what that looks like yourself.
I figured it out recently, very quite recently, a couple of days ago. We're gonna have a big release show in New York at Public Records on October 14th.
Ooh.
It's actually a double bill with Kaoru Watanabe, an amazing flautist, composer, and drummer.
Huh?
Also releasing on New Amsterdam. And I'll be playing mostly in a quartet setting with Charlotte Jacobs on synths and vocals, myself on synths, vocals, saxophone, Bas Donald on drums, Joshua Crumley on bass. That's going to be the core band. Um, and there will be some like things will be triggered through samplers, but very like more like vibes will be triggered that kind of like have little hints at the album, at the original album. Um, and then some guests, which I'm not going to talk about more. It'll be a surprise. And then I'll also be touring in Europe with also with Charlotte, but some other folks from over there, also in a quartet setting. And then I will also be doing solo shows with basically my pedal board
Very
and
cool.
synth and my horn.
I love everything about that. Okay. The listeners know I work in New York City, so I may have to get to that October 14th show.
Yes, please.
Um,
It would be great to meet you there
that'd be so much
in
fun. Yeah.
person.
Awesome. Okay. That leads us to our final question. I think this is a good transition to the final question. For an artist in their first year, maybe they're you when you first came out of undergrad, a lot of music training. They want to make music like full time. They may be a part of small groups here and there, but they haven't really taken off yet. What is some advice you would give them in their first year to continue on and to uh, take music seriously as a profession?
Try to make the music that you actually like.
Mhm.
I think a lot of young folks, and not generalizing, I'm just saying a lot, are having maybe a little bit of a hard time figuring out what they actually want to do, what their passion is, mm, and going with like this is it's like I'm talking like coming out of jazz school because that's what I know,
Yep.
or that's what I also see like, oh, this is the thing that's cool right now. I think this is what I'm supposed to do, you know. Um, and that was also definitely me at some point.
Mm.
And I'm not saying everybody's like that, but just like it can be a tendency because it's really hard to be totally honest to yourself and say, this is what I love, 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 love so much, and this is what I'm why I'm here, why I'm pursuing this path. And so I guess my advice is try to hone in on that and follow that and try to not follow something that you're supposed to be doing because somebody said it or is suggesting it or some person is a certain way and you think they're cool but they're not you and you're not them. And so it's not an easy thing, and I think it's also not just for that moment, it's an ongoing thing, but um, keep making lists of what excites you about being a musician and playing music and what excites you about the music. And I still do it because it changes.
Ladies
That's
and
my advice.
gentlemen, no, extraordinary advice. Ladies and gentlemen, Charlotte Greve, thank you so much for coming to the If Ever You're Listening podcast. Water Bodies is out October 2nd. Get it, buy it, stream it. A tour is followed up. Um, it was an honor to have you on the podcast. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.